Hi, this is Patricia Stepler with Your Inside Power. And there's no better topic than the one I have today, which is about asking and believing and receiving the good that you desire. So I want you to just imagine what your life would be like if you had a magic lamp with a genie inside granting your every wish, because that's basically what the universe and the law of attraction is all about. It's like having your own magic lamp. When you understand how to follow the process and to continue with the process, you can make anything happen. So I want to read you this quote by Joe Vitale. It says, "This is really fun. It's like having the universe as your catalog. You flip through it and say, I'd like to have this experience, and I'd like to have that product, and I'd like to have a person like that. It is you placing your order with the universe. It's really that easy." Now, if you're like me, you might say, wait a second, I don't even understand what you're talking about. Until about 10 years ago, I'd never really heard of the law of attraction. I'd never heard about doing any of this. And I never understood what was happening until my son got that scholarship to college. And when he got that college scholarship, I'm like, this cannot be. This was not supposed to happen. And yet it did. And it's the first time I thought, I know he caused this. I just don't know how. And that brought me to searching. And see, awareness is everything. Like I said, I'd never heard of the law of attraction until I started researching what he had done and finding people like Bob Proctor to help me. And the awareness enables us to understand the laws more clearly. Awareness in every area of your life and everything that you're doing just makes everything bigger and clearer for you. But one of the things I found out was just having that goal or that desire isn't enough. It wasn't enough for my son. See, my son always believed he was getting full scholarship. He just had that. It was unconscious. He didn't know what he was doing. He just decided that's what he wanted when he was 12 years old, and that's what he was going to get. And he never wavered from it, even when things did not go his way. And it was not a clear path. As those of you who've heard my story, and heard my son's story, really, you will know that it was not a clear path. He had discouragements, things that did not go right. And he questioned whether he was losing a scholarship. And I encouraged him, door closes, window opens type theory. I wasn't sure I really believed it, but he believed it. And that's all that mattered. And so one of the things we have to realize is that magic, you have to have that magic feeling. What's it going to feel like when you've actually accomplished that? And when you can do that and then have gratitude and express that gratitude, give praise, as one book I was looking at calls it, giving praise for the thing that you want as having already occurred in your life. So we have to, first of all, ask for what it is that we want. And then we have to believe and give praise like we've already gotten it, and have that feeling of gratitude inside of us that we already have the good that we desired. Now, you must believe in that manner. Like you already have it, like you know it's yours. Here's what most people do, and I know I'm as guilty as anybody. You set the goal, you decide what you want, and then because it doesn't happen really fast, then all of a sudden you decide, oh, it's not going to happen. And you start to doubt the very thing that you want. And when you allow that doubt, and as I said, I think the week before last, you cannot see both sides of a coin at the same time. If you hold a coin up in front of you, you're only seeing one side. And that's the belief. And then the doubt's there. You've got to follow just with one side, not looking at the other side of the coin. Just follow with the belief that you have. You cannot think of the two opposites of abundance, that's the good that you want, and lack at the same time. When you start to doubt, or when you start to say, well, maybe I'll get this part, but not that part. Or maybe it's not going to happen when I want. Maybe it'll happen later. Or maybe, it's just too far away. And you start to doubt. You see, you've always shifted yourself into a vibration of disbelief. And you have to be in such a high vibration of belief in order to start attracting to you. And you know how you feel. You feel really good about something. It's going to happen. And, even as I was preparing for this show, I could see the goal that I wanted. And I kept, shifting and seeing and believing and, really taking into heart what I'm telling you. And I could feel the shift inside of me. And when you feel that shift, that's where you need to stay. That's the vibration of the good that you want. So the law of attraction will mirror back to you exactly what you're telling it. So when you tell it, this is what I want, and you just keep holding that idea in your mind and you keep thinking about it and meditating about it and being thankful that you already have it and seeing yourself with the good that you desire, seeing yourself with that job, seeing yourself with whatever it is that you want, a scholarship, a new car, whatever, you start seeing yourself with that. And you feel how you're going to feel when you actually get it and bring that feeling into the present. That's when you start to attract and you start to shift your vibration. So feel as though it's already there. Go from unconsciousness and unawareness to this awareness of what it is that you need. So you need to ask, and then you need to believe. How do you believe? By holding on to the idea, by praising or being grateful for the good that you desire, already being there, being thankful that you have it, even though you don't, and having that feeling of how you would feel if you did have it, and bring that into the present. So Jesus said that faith as small as a mustard seed could move mountains. Now, my understanding is a mustard seed is about the small seed there is in all the seeds. And so if you just need that little bit of faith to move a mountain, that's all the faith you need to bring this into your life. You don't have to have enormous faith. You just need to know a little bit of faith and hold on to it. And faith brings wisdom and understanding, because once you start to understand how this happens, then you bring it into your life. It's just like when I told you the story about winning a diamond ring. I held that image of that ring in my mind. Actually, all three rings. I just won the top prize, but I held that image in my mind for probably 3 months. It was probably the length of the campaign, 3 or 4 months. Held the image, saw it on my finger, believed it was going to happen, saw the joy of walking across stage and getting the ring, having won it. I pictured all that in my mind. I felt it. I was just unconscious of understanding what I was doing. I was unaware that I was actually following these principles. So when you're aware, just think how much better it is than when you're unaware. And knowing that even when something is going wrong, or, you're on a path and then you get a roadblock and you're like, oh, that was how I was supposed to get there. Understanding that wasn't the right path. That's what my son found out. He was on the wrong path to get where he wanted to get. He had to be on a different path, and we had to discover that path. And we did, and he did. And so he got the scholarship. So you have to understand all that. And you have to realize that praise, that gratitude magnifies everything and magnifies that attraction to you, because it is like you're a magnet. You're attracting things to you. Now, I want to tell you a story of Sandy Gallagher, who is the head now of the Proctor Gallagher Institute. And she tells the story of one time there was a very wealthy businessman who was struggling with his company and wanted her input. And so Bob Proctor sent her to talk to this person. She walked in with this gratitude pad, which she has. And she sat down, she said, this is what I want you to do. Write 10 things you're grateful for every day. And then write down 3 people who maybe are giving you a difficult time or annoying you in some way. And, give them, pray for them, give them gratitude, just think of them in a more positive way, and then just relax and let go. And he thought she was nuts. And he kept trying to, get back to his business and what was wrong. And she said, this is what I want you to do. And sure enough, it solved the issue. And I was reading this story, and that's basically, story after story of people who followed that very formula or similar type formula of asking for something, believing in it, and not questioning it, and feeling that gratitude. And it solved their issue. So before you say, oh, that doesn't work, try it first. Try it first. I know I've sent love to people, sent messages to people that were bothering me, and things turned around. It really does work. So we get what we expect to get. So when we want something, we put it out there, this is what we want, but then we expect something different. We expect, oh, that's not going to happen, or I'm sure that's going to go wrong, or things like that. We get what we expect. And then oftentimes they'll say, oh, I knew that would happen. Well, of course you did, because you actually put that message out there. I remember somebody coming to me one time. I could not deal with this. And they were always just very negative and, never had any money and always talked about it. Well, of course, they talked about the lack and how they never had any money. And so that's what they caught. So you have to be really careful with what you're saying, both out loud in your speech and also the thoughts you have inside of you, because you get what you're asking for. Just because it's not what you really consciously want, you're still getting it because of what the words you say. So praise, gratitude is expressing that belief, and then you have to act on it. You can't just sit around and wait. You will be getting messages. I guarantee you, when you start believing and going through these steps, you're going to get ideas throughout the day. And maybe they're not all going to be good ideas, or they're not going to be something maybe that you think you should be doing. But I want you to take some time every time you get an idea to really think about it and see if it would work for you, because that's like a expression of inspiration. And you are getting that through your intuitive feelings. And some people say, when we pray, we're praying to God, and God answers us through our intuition. There's little messages sent to us that give us an idea of what it is that we need to do. And so we have to keep ourselves receptive to those ideas and allowing them to come to us, and not thinking that we know all the answers. So praise is like faith in action. And what you need to do is you have to be the best you can be. When you are going after a really big goal, you have to be better than you've ever been in your life. Here's a little quote I saw. If we never do more than we get paid for, we likely never get paid for more than we do. So it's just a little statement there. So it's just talking about, if we're never going to do more than we think we, are getting as now, then we're never going to get more than we really do. So you have to put your best foot forward. You have to do more than maybe you've ever done in your whole life to accomplish the goals that you want, and realize that, success and failure is as thin as a razor's edge. Thin as a razor's edge. The person who wins a race in the Olympics and the person who comes in second or even fourth, we take away the 3 minutes, the person who comes in fourth place, it's a razor's edge, sometimes hundreds of a second, and yet they've lost. So that's the way success is. Thin as a razor's edge, and your gratitude increases your chances of being successful and doing it quicker. So what I want you to do is to make believe and start pretending that you are in a situation you want, whether it's that new job, whether it's the income that you want, whether it's that new car, that new house. Pretend from where you are today that you already have it. And once you start pretending, keep it focused on that. You know, if it's a new ring, you're seeing that ring on your finger. You know, if you're getting in a car, the car that you're getting into is not the car that you want, then when you're getting in that car, you're seeing yourself in that new car, driving maybe, you know, the one that you have, but you're seeing it and you're making it believable, because the more you pretend, the more you see yourself, even if you're just meditating. Remember, the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between real and imagined. So when you're imagining yourself in that situation, you're imagining yourself with that product that you want, you are building the image that you're already there. And what happens is, as your mind starts to accept that, and you start to accept it, then the actionable steps will come because it's already there. So we just have to pretend. The law responds, the universal law responds to the predominant thoughts that we have in our mind, which is why you have to keep those thoughts there. You don't have to say them out loud. Just have them there. Have that image. See it always there. And when you do that, you're going to figure out how to get or to acquire what it is that you want. So underlying faith is your greatest power. That's part of your inside powers, your faith that you have, and continue to believe, and then just keep watching the magic happen, because it will happen. And things will start to happen very quickly. And as Napoleon Hill says in his book, Think and Grow Rich, that when the big money, as he called it, when the big money starts coming, it comes so fast and furious that you wonder where it's been during all those lean years. You see, you finally get it. And that only comes with study, because with study, you gain the wisdom that you need in order to accomplish the goal. And a lot of times, and I was just talking to somebody yesterday about this is why people need coaches or mentors, because we live with ourselves all day long and we don't see what other people see in us. And we also don't see some of the times when we're saying things that we should not be saying. And I know on many coaching calls, I'll say, no, wait, watch what you're saying. And I remember one coaching call, it's like, no, stop. Pay attention to what you're saying, because what you're saying is exactly what you have. And as long as you keep saying that over and over and over again, and I was hearing it over and over again on coaching calls. So how many times are they thinking it during the day? How many times are they saying it during the day? And it was like, no, stop. It's not doing you any good. Start saying the things that you do want. So to be really, really careful of that. Now, you don't need to know the how. And this is what confuses a lot of people. They think, okay, here I've set my goal, and now here's all the steps. Isn't that what you're told in goal setting? And this is why a lot of times it doesn't work, because you're told to set that big goal and then set the steps along the way, and this is what you need to do. And it becomes very intellectual as a process. But the universe doesn't operate that way. The universe operates on pulling things together. And that's where my son went wrong. He had researched it. He had followed the steps. He knew what he needed to do in order to accomplish his goal. And he set out to do it very intellectually instead of allowing the universe. And he almost lost his goal because of it. So you don't need to know the how. You just need to know what it is you want. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't have some plan in mind, and it doesn't mean that you don't start working on that plan. But what it does mean is that you don't have to know every step. And a lot of times when people have a really big goal, they're like, oh, it's not impossible. I remember the first time I went to a consultant training with Bob Proctor, and he said, first goal should be is to change your yearly income into monthly income. Well, at the time I was teaching school. And after he said that, I'm like, it's not possible. The superintendent doesn't even make that much money. How can I possibly do it? Now, here I am sitting with a group of consultants, embarking on a journey of starting my own business. And that's where my mindset was so ingrained. You see, those ideas are so ingrained inside your mind that you have to allow yourself to open up to the possibility of what is actually out there. So once I realized, like, what am I thinking? When it finally hit me, like, you're starting a new business. The idea is that has to be your new goal, to turn your yearly income into monthly income. And when you do that, I had no idea how. Obviously, I knew, I can get clients and, things like that, but how do I do that? See, I did not know what I did not know. And so you can't allow that to be a stumbling block. And that's a lot of people do. It would have been very easy for me to say, that's not possible, and dismiss it and go on. And that's what a lot of us do. It's just kind of human nature. If we don't know how, we think we need to know how all the time. And we think that we're in control. We're really not in control. The universe is in control. We're just part of it, which is part of the main plan. And we have to figure out what piece of that universe we would like. So when we allow the universe, when we try to figure out the how, what it does is it shows our lack of faith. That's not our job. The how is not our job. Our job is to decide what we want and to be willing and able to go after what we want when the plan is shown to us. And we get that plan through intuition. And we're not going to get the whole plan. We're going to get this little step. Well, you need this. And that's why you can't compare your success to other people, because you may have steps to go through that they did not. They'd already gone through previously. And so the how, even though you say this is going to take me a year to do, it might take 5 years or 10 years, because you had to learn other steps along the way and the path was open to you. Now, can you make that quicker? Yes, by being a better student and by going through things, and having somebody helping you, like a coach. You can get through those steps a little quicker if you have that guidance. But if you don't have that guidance and you're doing it on your own, you have to listen and follow and listen and follow and listen and follow. And that's why most people are not the success that they really want to be. They get to a certain level and they're like, okay, that's good. And what we have to do is to shift our vibration, that vibration that you're in. When you see yourself with the good that you desire, you have to start being that vibration more and more. You have to be on that frequency, because that's where your goal is. If your goal is up here and you have to grow from here up to here to get that goal, doesn't it make sense that you have to live on that frequency? Because that's where you want to be. And as long as you're living on this frequency where you are currently, it's never going to happen, because this is not where your thinking and your feelings have to be. They have to be up here. And so we have to move ourselves up to that frequency so that we get the good that we desire. I hope that makes sense, because that is so important. It took me a while to understand that when I was being shown the different frequencies. I mean, consciously understood it, but subconsciously I did not. And so you have to understand how to shift yourself into that vibration to be where you are, because when you do that, I guarantee you, your posture changes. Your posture changes, the way you walk, everything you do changes when you're shifting to that higher vibration, because that's who you need to be. And the more you can be that person, the quicker those goals come to you. So you have to be on that frequency, and you have to say, I am receiving whatever it is. It's a good way to do it. Or I am receiving this. And then feel yourself receiving it. Feel the good that you desire. It's a lot on that emotional part. And then you'll start taking the inspired action. What is inspired action? It's not just action. It's action to receive. So you're acting to receive, and it becomes effortless. And that's what inspired action is. It's not hard work. It's effortless because you're inspired to take it. And your intuition acts as that connecting part to the universe for that inspiration. So I want to just, this was my mentor and one of my coaches, Bob Proctor, who says, you will attract everything that you require. If it's money you need, you will attract it. If it's people you need, you will attract it. If it's a certain book that you need, you'll attract it. You've got to pay attention to what you've attracted to, because as you hold images of what you want, you're going to be attracted to things, and they're going to be attracted to you. But it literally moves into physical reality with and through you. And it does that by law. It's the way it works. And, like I said, it depends on the goal. It's not going to happen overnight. One of Bob Proctor's goals was to have a whole group of consultants all around the world. And that took probably 20 or 30 years for him to turn it into reality. So just because it's something that you want, it doesn't mean it's going to happen overnight. And then here's a really good quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It says, take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. And that's basically what I'm saying. You have to, as you understand that you don't need to know all the how, you just need to take the first step. And then that step will lead to another step, which will lead to another step, and just go in faith. Because you need to ask for what you want. You have to believe, which is faith, and you have to be willing to receive. And by all means, if you have any questions, please reach out to me. You can book an appointment with me. I'd love to talk to you and to help you through that situation. And, my coaching business, I use a lot with business owners and entrepreneurs because I love to see them earn that more money as they understand some of these steps. And I also work with people, if you want to improve your marriage, if you want to improve your health, it's the same process. It's exactly the same process. It's just focusing on a different aspect. So I'd love to talk to you. And let's show that we have more faith than just a mustard seed in order to accomplish the goals that we really want.